Welcome back to another episode of Time is Fish, and as always, my name is Daniel Nilsson, and I'm going to be your host. We are back with pro angler Lukas Riplinger, and we will continue our conversation with a very interesting question that I left you all hanging with last week, and his answer and insights will not disappoint. We also get into some cool memories from his first big bass competition. And while we are in that area, we go down the slippery and funny slope that is some fantastic shit hits the fan stories from his long career. We also swing by the subject of the younger generation of anglers and the use of livescope in competition fishing. And also, Lukas gets to give his 2 cents of the future of European bass fishing. We got another fully packed episode in front of us, so let's just cut the crap and get along with it, because you all know by now, time is fish. And what would you say is the technique for bass fishing that you use way too less, that you feel that you would benefit more of using it more often?
I can tell you this 100% on the spot. It's the drop shot.
Yeah. Do you have a love-hate relationship to the drop shot?
Absolutely. I think like more or less every fisherman, I don't met a lot of fishermen that really say they love drop shot fishing. It's more or less, like you say, a mix between hate and love. But let me just tell you why. We had now 2 times the situation that we get kicked our butts from the American guys in the World Championships by the drop shot. So when in the end, often the guys are doing usually really high quality video projects of their trips. So that means you have the chance to watch always what they're using and stuff. And we have a really good relationship with them in person. So they normally after a tournament we speak about everything, and then they are also friendly and honest when it comes to debates. And quite often it is the answer, it was just a drop shot with the fucking rubber warm, what is it called? The morning dawn color. You know that violet pink color? Morning dawn?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Dude, it's crazy. I don't know how it is possible, but that color is always in the end, compared with the technique, it's always the key. So we had that situation in the USA on Lake Murray. Mm-hmm. that in the end we were struggling there. It was not easy at all. The fish was in a mix between on a second shoreline and really close to the shore under the docks. So it's a lake full of boat docks there. So you can really fish all day long boat docks, and you will cover maybe 10% of the lake. Maybe
Man, I would love to try that out. That sounds so fun.
That's super fun, but the thing is, under every 50th dog there is one bass, so that was the feeling there. So it was not the key, but it was the only thing that we found out that works 100%. Mm-hmm. So that means we tried really to hammer the dogs, and that was. But in the end, the key for catching the fish was a drop shot just 20 meters more out on the second shoreline. That means on the second drop. So it was like 2-3 meters deep until it drops again down to 3.5, 4. It was not even a big drop. It was just a second. They call it second shoreline, so a second small drop. Mm-hmm. And the bass was cruising between the docks and that second shoreline. But we was able to catch maybe every 20th fish that was under the dock. But the US guys just stay more outside and drag the drop shot above the bottom there. And they was able to catch that cruising fish, and that was the key in the end. So the structure was more or less the same. So it was not something completely different, but it was just a bit more out, and it was the drop shot. So we was using normally always the weightless wacky for catching them, and they was using the drop shot. The biggest difference is that you can. You can hold the bait way longer on position, of course, and you're also able to make lure that is maybe so. For example, a senko is a super high salted bait. That means it's a heavy bait when it comes to just the rubber weight. So when you compare it, it's a 5-inch bait, but it weighs, I think, like 10 grams or something, one senko. So
Yeah.
it's a heavy soft plastic bait. And the typical rubber worm is just plastic. It's not a lot of salt in, and of course it's way lighter. So if you want to use that more or less weightless, it takes super long to get it down. And it was a bit windy. For that reason, with a drop shot, of course, you can hold the bait also more or less suspending a bit up above the bottom, and you can hold it long on place. Of course, when you talk about it, it's all obvious.
Yeah.
When you're in the tournament situation, you don't get it. So that was in the end, like, we was all crazy that the drop shot kicks our butts. And the same situation was last year in South Africa. What was honestly way more crazy. Last year in South Africa, we fished in the pre-spawn, really close to spawn season. So it was the exact week before the spawn. So usually you say the spawn for bass is when the full moon period is. So in the night of the full moon, the bass are usually really making their spawning.
Oh, okay.
So that means the days before, they are still cruising and looking for beds. 1 or 2 days before, they are going on the bed. In the night of the full moon and the day after, they are spawning. And then it takes more. It takes another month, another 4 weeks until the next part of the bass are spawning. So the bass are never spawning all together. So that's also the reason, for example, a lot of people are speaking about, is it nice to fish during the whole spring season for bass? So you catch also the spawning fish. And I always say, no, there's from, let's say, 100% bass population in the lake, there's always just 10 to 25% of the bass are spawning at the same time. That means you have always bass they are still in pre or in post spawn. That means it is possible to catch fish around that spawning fish. It's just important to know where the spawning fish are spawning and don't hammer them. But if you go a bit more offshore, or if you go to deeper banks where you know the fish are not spawning on steep banks, they're just spawning on shallow areas, then you are still able to catch fish that are not affected by the spawn. And that was the situation in South Africa, that the fish was in post-spawn and the full moon was, I think, 1 or 2 nights after the tournament. So it was absolutely pre-spawn season. And normally, also the US guys was thinking that the big bass are cruising around in the shallows and looking for bats. But it was like this, but there was really more on the move than we thought, than everyone thought. So it was really hard to find the fish. And you have to imagine that lake, Arabi Dam is it called? Arabi is a lake that is full with fish and full with bass, full with breams, bait fish, catfish. There's everything. Big gators between, but usually you can figure out the difference on the livescope. But so the lake is full of life. It's really, when you turn on the livescope, it looks like a bright star heaven. It's crazy.
Wow.
And
how big is the lake?
That was, well, it's a big lake. I don't know really the size, but it is.
Is it like Bolsena or bigger?
No, bigger. It is like, I would say, close to the Hollandsdiep and Haringsvliet together.
Oh, so okay.
It is, yeah. So it's big. It's like 40 something kilometers. But you have to. The lake is not super big. Let's say the lake is probably as big as Hollandsdiep, and then the river area is incoming. And the river was, it's also up to the end, I think 25 kilometers easy. So it's a big lake, and we was allowed to fish in the lake and in the river. So that means there's a ton of fish on the livescope, and we tried, of course, to see in the practice if the livescope can make any difference. And we mid-strolled, deep, shallow, and we catch everywhere fish around 800, maximum 2 kilo. So they are small fish, around 35 to 45 centimeters, say 35 to 40. And we also practiced there 2 weeks. So I make 1 week more, and the other guys also practice a week extra. So we had 2 weeks of practice there. And in the end, we said, okay, the live scope will not make the difference on that event for the reason that there is way too much fish on the screen. You are not able to figure out what is a bass, what is a bream, what is a carp. So there is so much fish in, it is not possible. And we thought that, so we made what we are usually doing. We mid-strolled and we tried with a jerk bait and stuff. And of course, you saw once a big fish following your jerk bait and you're okay, it's a bass. But that is not a situation where you can build a whole tournament strategy on. It's just one situation during a day. So that means we said, all in all, live scope is not our game plan, and we don't think that the live scope will make a big difference in this event. And in the end, the truth was that the live scope compared to the drop shot makes the difference. So the US guys was able to understand, and that's definitely comes to the big amount of knowledge and experience that they have. They was able to figure out what is a bass and what is other species. And even the US guys, even Scott Martin and Jacob Wheeler, told us that just one guy in the US team, and that was Drew Gill, was able to really figure that out. And if you watch the videos, you see Drew Gill was catching nearly all the big fish of the team of the USA. So he was able, so he comes from, I think, the Tennessee River or something, and he told us that there is tons of fish in the lake, in the river. So he knows how a bass is reacting on a live scope in between of different species. And he was able to figure out or to know what is a bass and what's not. And then they fished with the drop shot the bass on the live scope. Wow. And they catch 3 kilo plus fish on drop shot on the live. What was for us when we make all our experience of the practice together was mind blowing. So we said, how is it possible that you are able to figure that out? But you see, in this point, the drop shot again, and the live scope was the game changer. So for this reason, to make a long answer to a short end, the drop shot is probably the technique that I think I use definitely not enough, and I need to study more on the drop shot.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah.
But drop shot is, I have one situation where I found drop shot to be completely key. It's like shallow water fishing for perch in the archipelago here in Sweden. We have them cruising. We could find them cruising along the weed lines, just outside of the weed lines, like within a meter from the weed line. And we were fishing like offset lures, casting them into the weed, fishing them out. And we had like 1 meter of potential biting area. And then you were outside of that. And I was like, shit, this is a good place for a drop shot. I can just place it outside of the weed line and just hold it there and wait for the fish. So I rigged up a drop shot, and I was just hammering fish all the time because I was always keeping it in the strike zone. So after that, I always had a drop shot when I'm perch fishing in the archipelago, and it's been a game changer for me several times. But otherwise than that, I've never had a situation where drop shot has like been a key for me. So it's a very specific situation, but I love the drop shot 1% of the year for that situation.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the same for me. Yeah, but as you say, that's probably the reason why drop shot is still a big player. There is some small situations when it makes a difference. And so yeah, I started using it this year more and more for the reason that I said I will never have this situation again, to don't be able to adapt and take out a drop shot. And I had nice good fishing on it, and I catch some bass, even pelagic with it. So I just use a 2.5 gram sinker, and then I just saw on the live, there is a bass suspending like 2.5-3 meters above the bottom, and I thought, okay, it should be a bass. I make the cast, and the fish comes straight away to the bait, and I just hold it in the middle water, and he took it right away in the middle water. So I think in the end, maybe drop shot is way more versatile than you really think about, in the beginning, when you just think about a simple drop shot, how you use it normally. So probably that's also something that I can answer you in the end of this year. How the drop shot.
Never would I ever. I did not have pelagic drop shotting on my bingo card for this year. I can tell you.
Never. It was for me also just you know how it is. You see a fish on the scope and you make a cast. fast I have the drop stone rod in my hand, and it worked. And after I tried it several times, and it works again. So it was not super huge, but it worked. So I think in the end there is a reason to use it.
Pelagic drop shotting, man.
Yeah, crazy. You have to go. You have to go new ways.
Yeah, for sure. What was your what was your first big bass competition that you entered? What was the first big that really felt special for you?
100%. It was the World Championships in Mexico. Was my first. I think it was in 2018. Yeah.
What lake was it?
On Lake Cuchillo. Okay. That's El Cuchillo. That's a crazy huge dam. More or less close to the U.S. borders, like 3.5, 4 hours, I think.
Okay.
So that's a really special place. It's a reservoir that there was before. There was just a forest that it was flooded. So it's like millions of trees in that lake. And even there we had a crazy experience. In the end, we tried to find out the way to catch the biggest fish, of course. And you have to imagine there are areas where you can punch 10,000 trees, and in a row. There's like a forest still, and on every 50th, 60th tree there is a big fish. But if you know how to do it and continue this, you can make a big bag and win a tournament there. But the thing that was really interesting for us was that the people or the guys that catching good in the trees told us after the tournament. It was a guy from South Africa. He told us after the tournament that just a particular kind of trees was really holding big fish. So he was cruising through that forest, just looking for that kind of trees. So it was like more or less the biggest trees with a shape of the crown. That means it was the same kind of trees, but it was just special, outstanding. There was just a bit bigger, and they was just cruising around and searching for that trees, and I think they come second in the event, and they caught crazy big fish, like 4.5, 5 kilo bass there.
Oh,
and we tried that, and we didn't found that kind of trees. We just catch medium-sized fish on the trees, and we spent a lot of time and lost a lot of time there. And in the end, the tournament was won by the US guys, and they, of course, they won the tournament in the way that they was. I remember on one video from Scott Martin, you see us standing in the back of the boat. So they was really right around the corner of our spot, but they was a bit deeper. And what we didn't know that there was a second kind of forest more deeper. So they covered this tree tips with crankbaits, and to reach that depth. So it was like, I'm not sure, I think like 6 meters where the trees begin. So the water was like 10 meters or 8 meters, and the trees come up to 6 meters, and they tried to hit the tree tips with the crankbaits. And to reach that depth, they use braided line to go deeper. So they can go thinner with the line, and braid cuts the water better, so you can get faster, deeper. So that makes the difference. And if you watch the videos, it's completely crazy. They catch one crazy big bass after another, really just by side of our spot, but we was a bit too shallow, so the fish was a bit more deeper. And in 2018, to be honest, we also was not that experienced as we are now, especially when it comes to a lake like this. So we never was in a lake with that many trees before, and so it was totally special and also a bit overwhelming, especially for me and Tony. So we was the first time there. The other guys was already a couple of years in the bass team, so they experienced this event. But for us, it was the first year, and everything was was too overwhelming, to be honest.
It must have been
But
cool to come over there and meet Scott Martin and all of these.
absolutely, absolutely. It was crazy too. It was the first time to experience stuff like this. And if you take the guys make all the way from the US to Mexico with their own boats and trucks.
Mhm.
And if you see the rig of, for example, of Scott Martin, when
Yeah.
the big truck and the boat in the back, and the guys are jumping out, and in this point, these are heroes in our kind of fishing. So that's a crazy situation. And yeah, so
Super cool.
they kicked our butts with the crankbait there, but it's nice to see that, and I would love to experience. I would love to experience that again. So I hope Mexico will be on the board in the next years again for a world championship, and then we hopefully can turn around that. But that was for me the first experience of a really big and really special tournament for bass fishing. Yeah.
Who has been your biggest inspiration when it comes to bass fishing? A person.
Definitely Jacob Wheeler.
Okay.
So yeah, Jacob Wheeler is for me. So you have to imagine it's a guy that is all, since I don't know, but since at least 15, maybe 20 years, he is on the board in bass fishing. So he fished before the Bass Nation. He fished Forest Wood Cup when in the past it was called FLW. So he was in every big league in the USA. He takes place, and he win nearly everywhere, everything. So he win the Forest Wood Cup, what is the Bassmaster Classic of the FLW. He win several events there. He won the Bassmaster Blue Trophy a couple of times. And now when you look at the last 6 years of Jacob, he is in the Major League fishing. And in 6 years of Major League, he won 4 or 5 Angler of the Year titles from 6 years.
That's crazy.
That's absolutely crazy. You cannot dominate more. And he won, I think, 12 individual tournaments in the last 6 years. And if you see that, just how consistent this guy is and how crazy he understands the whole thing, it's absolutely mind-blowing. And you have to see, what I also really like is a lot of people start hating him for the reason that he was one of the craziest live scope anglers in the beginning. So Jacob and the mid-strolling rod was destroying everything on the live scope. So a lot of people start hating him, and yeah, he's just good in live scope fishing. And just to make it easier to understand, in the first years of the Major League, the rule was like every fish above 1 pound, what is 400 something grams, is counting. So that means if you catch a lot of small fish, they are all above 400, you can still win a tournament with just small fish. So if you find with the live scope a big open water school of smaller fish, but big enough, then you can catch 50, 60, 70 fish in the open water with the live scope and the mid-strolling and win a tournament. And of course, I understand that many people don't like that style of fishing. First of all, you don't see when you watch on TV, you don't see a lot of different type of fishing. They are just watching on the screen. And second thing, they just catching smaller fish. And I can understand that this is for the viewer not the nicest thing. And then they start to hate and blah, he can only catch small fish, blah, 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 blah. And Bassmaster is way better for the reason that they have top 5. So you have to catch the 5 biggest fish. But now everything changed, although the rules changed, the fish needs to be bigger. And now they make, since 2 years, I think, also the change that you have just periods in that you are allowed to fish with the live scope. So that means they fish in 3 periods over the day, and in 1 period they are allowed to fish live scope, and all the other not. And Jacob wins in the last 2 years, I think, a couple of tournaments completely without live scope sometimes. So he didn't even use the live scope. That means he's good in everything. He is good in with live scope, without live scope. He knows every technique. He knows the lakes crazy. And of course, I need to be honest, I know him in person and I spoke with him a lot. Maybe that makes also my view a bit different. So I also really know him more or less. Of course, he's not. I know him not like a friend, but I know him a bit more than nearly all the other guys. That means for me, I I was able to speak with him, and I was able to understand a little bit more also what is in his mind and what is his way about thinking about bass fishing and stuff. And to see that is for me always a really big inspiration. Yeah, and Jacob Wheeler, I would say it's all in all my biggest inspiration. And yeah, also a really nice guy is Brandon Polnick. I don't know if you know him. He makes, in my opinion, the best YouTube videos of bass fishing and of professional bass tournaments. And he's also a guy that I really, when we go for bass tournaments in Italy, we always watch his videos before and get pumped from his style, how he's doing it. So I think he's also quite a big inspiration. But for me, when I have to name one guy, it's definitely Jacob.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, this whole livescope thing about him, I mean, he caught bass in tournaments way before livescope. So,
absolutely.
I mean, it's just a
he
weird
already
thing.
showed that
He just adapted to the situation and made the most of it.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's smart. It's also his income. He needs to put food on the table.
100%. Of course. But that's a point that a lot of people don't understand, and that's interesting. What I'm really interested about how it goes on with, I don't know if you know him, Trey McKinney. It's a young guy that is fishing the Bassmaster since I think 3 years now. I think this is that's the third season for him. And you have to imagine he fished his first season and won straight away. Won a tournament in his first season. Then he came second in Angler of the Year in that season, and he won the title of Rookie of the Year in that season. So you cannot do more. In his second season, he wins also a tournament and finished again second in Angler of the Year. And now his third season, he is first in Angler of the Year. I think he didn't won now, but he have just 2 tournaments now, and if he continue like this, he will win this year Angler of the Year, what is the highest title in my opinion. So you are the consistent guy above the whole season, and he's just 23 or 22, I think. So he's super young, and this guy is also crazy. He's catching them always, and he's really able to adapt and understand so crazy quick. And I listened to a podcast from Dave Mercer a couple of days ago, and he was talking, and then there was Lee Livesey and another guy, and they was talking about Trey, that there was a situation. I just want to repeat that, so it's just crazy to imagine. There was an area with a big grass patch, and Micah Kennelly, Lee Livesey, and 2 other big names was on that grass patch already fishing. And after one, and they catch not really big fish. So they see each other and they can speak with each other, and they saw that nobody was catching really big fish. So Trey enter into that. He come also to that mat and takes the place where Iconelli was before. He put down his Raptors, makes 2 casts, and catch a big fish there, and and he continues and catch 2 more big fish. And all these old school big names of the Bassmaster was sitting there and said, "How is this possible?" And you have to imagine what that means. These are all guys that are doing this since years and win a lot of money and know how to do it. And then a young star like him is coming in and just catching in front of them on a spot where Iconelli was before. So that's.
And this was also without livescope, right? This was just...
yes, exactly. So it was also without livescope. Yeah.
Because I've seen a couple of these young, I think also him, Trey, because people were kind of, I think, upset when they come in so young and they have livescope and they really dominate.
Exactly.
But those people that have dominated with livescope that are very young, they also freaking dominate when it comes to bank fishing and mat fishing, punching and frogging. So they do, I mean, they do as great without livescope. They are just much younger and faster and quicker to adapt. And I mean, it feels like it doesn't matter what it is, if it's fishing or I'm a lot into skateboarding. I'm an old skateboarder, so I follow that scene. And the thing that, the young people today, that are like 10. I saw someone yesterday that was like, he must have been like 7 or something. He was so young, and he was doing stuff that no pro could do like 15 years ago. And it's and that's not because of, but it's because of YouTube and all of this, the inspiration. They get so much knowledge and at a young age and inspiration. And I think it's the same with fishing. So it's not just that they have livescope, because they are showing their competence even without the livescope when it comes to this, structure fishing and fishing mats and all of that stuff. So it's cool to see that they're not just dominating when it comes to livescope. So it's a change.
Yeah.
It's a change.
Completely.
Happening.
Yeah. Yeah, and you see that this year, especially Bassmaster also make a change in the rules. So in the Bassmaster rules now, you have, I think, 3 events completely without live scope. So you're not allowed to have a live scope on the boat, or you have to cover your plug with a cover that gets controlled by the organization. So you're not allowed to open it, but you cannot use live scope. And still, as you say, a guy like Trey McKinney is leading the Bassmaster Angler of the Year. What shows exactly what you said before, that he is just good in all that stuff, and that's interesting how this will went in the next years. But I'm pretty sure we will see a big move when it comes to young people, probably in all kind of sports.
I have a segment in the podcast where, because things doesn't always go according to plan. Like sometimes you forget the drain plug of the boat, you start sinking, or heavy weather, someone shits themselves. Stuff can happen. Shit hits the fans from time to time, and fishing is you're in a specific situation where a lot of stuff can happen. Do you have any fun moments from all of these cool competitions in South Africa and all these places, food poisoning or whatever, when shit hits the fan?
Yes, of course. There is a lot of stuff in my mind now, but let's try to. I have 2 stories, 2 fun stories.
Sounds fantastic.
The first story is from South Africa last year, and I was, as I told you before, I was 1 week practicing before. So I fly in 1 week before all the other guys. So I practiced with Anton, our teammate from South Africa. So he lives there. And we went there, and we had awesome fun fishing practice mix, so it was really nice. And then it was quite hot during the day, and you know how it is when it gets hot. You also get a bit silly and then sunburned from your brain is not working as fast as normal.
Yeah.
So you have really important to know for that story. Arabi Dam is, if I'm right, or at least one of the highest population of crocodiles in whole South Africa. So the lake is full of crocs, and we saw many and big ones. And so the crocodile thing, to be honest, for me, it was like, okay, they are laying around, they are swimming around, and if you come too close, they are gone. So you don't need to be worried about them. Of course, you should swim, or you should hold your hand too long in the water, but just for fishing, they don't affect me. And so we was fishing on a stretch, and I think I had a spinning rod in my hand, and I throw I think I checked on the live scope and didn't check to reel my line in. So I had a bit of line on the trolling engine, and I sucked the prop sucked in my line. So
okay, yeah.
and it immediately cuts my line, and I was sunburned and a bit pissed, and I throw my rod in the back, lift up the trolling and want to untangle and rip out the line and tie new. And then I make a step. I had flip-flops on, and I make a step in front to the trolling engine to reach it easier. And in that second, I slipped away for the reason that I was too close on the gunnel of the boat, and I slipped away and fell into the water in a lake where there's the highest populations of crocodiles. And in the first second, my stupid German head was like, oh, it's nice, it's super cool, it's a cool down in that hot day. And in the next second it hits, and like, fuck, there's so many crocs on that lake, you have to get your ass out of that lake. And Anton, who is the local, was just standing on the boat and really shitting his pants. He was laughing like crazy, and he was really barely able to help me to get back into the boat for the reason that he was laughing like crazy. And then I was laying in the boat. I said, "Hey, dude, there are so many crocs. You have to help me with that." And he cannot catch his breath. He was laughing like crazy. For me, it was the same after I was in the boat. But in this situation, it was really a short amount when I was like, I have to get out of that lake quick. So of course there was no croc around in that moment. So Anton, I think if there was a crocodile laying on the shore or something, he would be helped me a bit quicker. But it seems to be safe, and I have all my arms, hands, and feet, so it was safe. But that was a quite fun situation, and yeah.
Oh man, I could bet that when you realize that, like the panic of getting up in the boat, it must have been overwhelming.
But the funny thing really was that second where you don't realize it. The first second where you just think it's a nice cool down. So if you would fell in Sweden or in Germany or here in Italy in the lake, you would say, nice, it's hot and I just cooled down now. But there, you don't have that crocs always in your mind, especially if you're not used to that. So yeah, it was a funny situation.
How is the situation down in South Africa? Because every time I've gone to Africa, like in Sudan and Madagascar and those places, like the bacteria culture in the food and water is quite different, and basically everyone on the trips have basically shit their pants in before the week is over. How is the situation in South Africa when it comes to not food poisoning, but the difference in bacterial culture is very different?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, honestly, really just a few problems. So the thing is there. The biggest difference probably is that we lived there in a resort, and we bought all our food by ourselves. So we didn't had any hotel food or something like this. That means we buy it in the supermarket, and we had a lot of fresh meat from Anton. So he's a hunter, so he had fresh meat that he hunts by himself, and we had dried meat and stuff. So it was all in all not really in contact with a lot of things that can get bad bacteria to it, and also no water from the normal from the normal water.
From the faucet.
Yeah, exactly. So we just use water out of bottles that is safe. So we didn't had a lot of problems with that. I think that you have 1 or 2 days a little bit unstable toilet situation.
That period when you don't trust a fart.
Exactly that period, you named it. but that was just a short time, and it was no problem at all. So I was also in Namibia before, and I always need to be honest. I had always the luxury situation that I was with locals around, and that it always was the same like in South Africa. It came from really secured areas, so it was not a really public food or something like this. So but I think I also from the other nations and then other people that I know, they was in the official resorts from the organization, where you have definitely that public water and all that things. Was not a big deal. So I think, of course, there will be areas in South Africa, but all in all, I have the feeling that this problem is a bit heavier when it comes, as you said, to Madagascar and Sudan and stuff like this. I think it's a bigger problem there than in South Africa. Cool. But just out of my experience, so I don't have had a problem there.
Nice.
Yeah.
You said I had another shit hits the fan story that came to mind also.
Yeah. I have a lot of these stories, honestly, when I think about. But one story that is also really crazy, or let's say like this: it was in the end, it was not crazy, but we was really close to do stupid things. It was in Mexico, and just to give a bit of a feeling to get into that story. When we come to Mexico, we get picked up by a guy who was like a bit of a guide for us for the whole event. So he picked us up on the airport, guided us during the whole situation with the food and all that stuff. So he was always with us around. He was our driver to go to the supermarket and all that stuff. So he picked us up on the airport, and we was on the way to the hotel, or it was like a resort, not a real hotel, and he brought a whole box of Corona beers in the car to the airport. So we was completely from a I don't know, it was at least a 20 hours journey already. And we went into the car and he had cold Corona beer. So we was all happy as fuck and just start drinking. And of course, how everyone knows, if you drink beer, you have to go to the toilet. So we told him we have to piss, and if it's able that he can stop by. And then he was just leaving the highway and stopped on a parking there. But the funny thing was, the first thing on this parking was everything really with big lights, everything highlighted, so it was not dark there. So there was a lot of, it wasn't the night, and everything was bright there for the reason that they have spots everywhere. And in the middle there was a car with guys with big guns in, so police, military. So it was already a bit scary that on a normal parking on the street there is military guys with weapons and stuff. Yeah. But okay, we was like, yeah, it's Mexico. So we said, okay, no worries. And we jumped out of the car, and he parked really close to there was no toilet houses or something. It was just like going into the nature. So we walked up a little, not a hill, but it was a little bit going up there, and we all go into the grass and start like all 6 guys in a row start pissing there. And then our driver turns around and says, "Oh guys, take care of the rattlesnakes." And everyone was laughing. And then he was like, no, I'm serious. So, and every one of us was really, really quick with that beer and back in the car. The reason that, again, the normal European head was like, okay, going into the nature and take a piss cannot be dangerous. But of course, if you have rattlesnakes around, it can be dangerous. So we continue our journey with already this funny situation in the end. And then we came there, and we entered the town there where the event take place, and every road sign, everything, also walls from buildings and stuff, have holes from bullets. So so we was like, fucking hell, dude! They are really firing. They are shooting around everywhere here. So it was everything was shot there, and
the hell?
In the first situation, we was like, okay, that's cool. It's Mexico. But then we talked with our driver, and he was like, yeah, it's not super dangerous, but it is close to a dangerous area. So there is. So close to the American borders, they have always problems with drugs and cartels and stuff, and they are taking that stuff serious. So there is shootings are normal there. Let's say it like this.
Like if there is bullet holes in your house, you're not close to a dangerous area. You're freaking in the middle of it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's my take of it.
Yeah, you are right. Maybe we was a little bit. No, you're right. But so we go into our reservoir and into our into the hotel and stuff there, and then we start to thinking, okay, what? So we was, I think, 3 days before the official event start. We was there, and then on the next day we prepared our tackle and stuff, and Tony and I, we start skipping our jigs in the pool, and there is a hole where I don't know the real word, but where the water gets cleared.
The cleaning system, kind of.
Yeah. Exactly, the cleaning system, yeah. And there is a hole where usually should be a filter in for the dirt in the pool. Yeah. And we was just making fun and start casting in that pool and say, hey, dude, who can skip into that hole? And we tried 1-2 times, we didn't hit it, and then I did a skip and I really hit it perfect. The problem is there was no filter in, so my jig gets sucked into that rotator there, and pam, it's ripped off my line. So that was already like, okay, so we should nobody tell what happened. So there are so many fishermen here, they don't will remember who did it. And we was laughing about that situation. So I just tell this part of the story that you understand. We start to get bored, so we want to go fishing.
Yeah.
But we was not able to go. So then we start. So on that area where we stayed, there was a parking lot of some bass boats. So there was some local guys with bass boats. They are going out for fishing. And we start to think, maybe it's possible to go one day on another lake or something just to go fishing. So we want to go fishing. We're in Mexico. We have to go fishing. And then we start talking with our guide and say, hey, we want to go fishing. You think there is a chance? And he said, yeah, there is Sugar Lake close by. And we was like, Sugar Lake is for every bass angler. Sugar Lake is a lake with huge bass in. So it's a real name. If you hear Sugar Lake as an addicted bass angler, you know that's the place to go. We have to go to Sugar Lake. So we start to plan the trip, and he was really enthusiastic in the beginning and was like, yeah, we can do it like this. I can organize another boat, and then we go with 2 cars and blah, blah, blah. And he just spoke with Tony and me. So we was like hyped. And then we go back to the other guys and told them, hey, we have the chance to go to Sugar Lake, blah, 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 blah. It's $100 per person. And we say, yeah, let's do it. We have to do it. Mm. So we confirm and say, okay, we want to do it. And then 2 days, I think 2 days after, or the next day, I'm not sure, but not exactly on that day. It was one more day. And then I think in the evening or something, our guide came back to us and spoke with Tony and me and say, guys, there's just one thing you have to remember when we do that trip. And I say, yeah, what is it? There is a small chance that when we go to Sugar Lake, that we get ripped off from the cartel. And we say, what do you mean? I say, yeah, there is. When we go to the highway, we have to drive 4.5 hours. When we're taking the shortcut, we're coming to dangerous cartel areas where children gangs are blocking the road, making roadblocks. And if they stop you, if they make a roadblock, you don't look them in the eyes. You don't say anything. Just give them all the things you have, and then you probably survive. And we say, what the fuck? What? Yeah, but it's just a small chance. And we was like, okay, but there is still a chance. Yeah. And then we start. Okay, we want to go bass fishing. So we are here in Mexico, and we have the chance to go to Sugar Lake. How big is this chance that this happens? So Tony and me, we thought, okay, fuck it, we will still do it. But of course, we have to speak with the other guys. So then we go back to the camp and say, okay, guys, that's the situation. And I think just one of the 6 say, oh, guys, that's really dangerous. All the others was more like, yeah, maybe it's a cool adventure and it will not happen, blah, 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 blah. So we were still on the point to say, yeah, let's do it. And then we go to the guys, to the locals with the bass boats in front, and just speak with them. So our guide was in the village, and he said when he come back, we can make everything fixed. So in this time when he was in the village, we go to the other guys with the bass boat and just talking with them. And then we say, yeah, tomorrow we go to Sugar Lake. And they say, okay, when do you go to Sugar Lake? Yeah, we go, our guide, and we go there. And he said 1.5 hour drive. And then they said, guys, if you drive 1.5 hours, you have to cross the cartel area. If you're really doing this, you are fucking crazy. And honestly, on that point, we start to realize, okay, it's probably not the best idea to really do that. And then we all together decide maybe it's not worth it to get kidnapped by a cartel children gang just for a couple of bass, and we quit the trip.
But also maybe to get all your equipment stolen and everything before the competition.
Of course, that's also a point that is that we not had in our mind in this moment, maybe. But the funny thing is, in the end, we spoke with the Australian team, and the Austrian guys, they was on Sugar Lake, but they take the long run on the highway, and they catch amazing fish there. And when we hear that story, we're like, dang, maybe we should take the risk. No, in the end, it was definitely the right thing to don't take it, but it was just a funny situation. And it's again a situation how stupid, let's say, maybe the European brain can be if you are not used to that danger and that things that can really happen there.
Yeah, but
So
we are
yeah,
so sheltered in Europe. I mean, when it
yeah,
comes to
crazy,
everything like this, we are so naive also. Like everyone is just
dude,
nice.
it's
Oh, hey,
crazy.
nice shiny gun you have there. What is that?
Yeah,
Is this a
absolutely.
shooting
No,
range?
I experienced that a couple of times, and yeah, there's there's I remember now so much stories that we probably could talk way more hours, but I think that these two stories are definitely funny and with a good outcome, just funny.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm glad to get in some shit hits the fan stories also because everything isn't just easy peasy.
No, of
Sometimes
course not. Of course not.
you have some.
You just yeah, you just have to be lucky that nothing worse happen, and then you just go on, and of course, shit hits the fan thing happen
Yeah.
always.
What would you say, like to round this off a little bit? What do you think is the future for European bass fishing? First of all, I also want to clarify: black bass is the same as largemouth bass, right?
Yeah, there's two major difference that you have to have in your mind. You have when it comes to black bass, it's named the whole black bass family. That means there is largemouth bass. It's the same,
Mm-hmm.
but there is a difference in the species. You have the northern bass.
Mm-hmm.
What is the bass that we have here in Europe? That's the smaller kind of bass, so they are not that huge. And then you have the Florida strength, so the Florida bass.
Mm-hmm.
And the Florida bass is the monster bass that you would know from the USA, from videos, from Mexico, from Texas, also from Japan, Lake Biwa and stuff. These are uh, Florida bass. So that means the Florida bass is usually the bass that you call largemouth for the reason that they have an even bigger mouth than our northern bass have. So these are the real monster fish that get above 15, 17, 18 pounds. So the big bass. And our northern bass are usually limited to a weight of 4.5 kilos, I would say. So that's, as I know, really the highest point where they can reach, and a length of 75 centimeters or something like this. That's when it comes to the black bass. That's a big difference to know that there are two kind of black bass, and then of course you have the smallmouth bass, and you have species like spotted bass, and there are a lot of different different bass. But the main bass that we are talking about are usually, especially here in Europe, the northern bass.
Yeah. And what do you think is the future here in Europe for bass fishing, and how do you see like bigger tours and stuff evolving for the future in Europe? Is it going to be more like America, or do you think it's going to still be a little bit of an underdog in general?
I think it will, when we compare it to America, what is probably the most difficult thing to compare to. So it's the biggest market and the biggest place for bass fishing in the world. But I think I'm pretty sure that bass fishing will get more and more a big player here in Europe also. So especially for the reason that a lot of people get bored about the Dutch waters, for example. So I speak now with a lot of people that everyone is telling me, yeah, there's too much fishing pressure in the Netherlands. It's too much people around. The fishing is getting, of course, tougher now, and so the people start to look around. What is there? What is else there to fish? And the bass is, in my opinion, just in the beginning, the bass fishing here in Europe. So I'm pretty sure way more people will start with bass fishing and will start to making trips and holidays and fishing buddy trips, especially for bass fishing, especially for the reason that it's close by. So, for example, I come from the south of Germany. For me, it is the same distance to go to the Netherlands than to go to Sardinia, or at least to the ferry in Italy, and then go to Sardinia. And
Okay.
2 hours, 3 hours more, I am Bolsena. So I have a lot of different opportunities in the same reaching distance than the Netherlands. And when you see how many people are driving to Sweden, of course, Sweden will be, in my opinion, always special, just for the reason that you have so much water, such a nice country, such a nice nature. That the Netherlands, when we are honest, in the end, from point of nature, it's not a nice place there. It's a lot of shallows, industrial stuff. That's when you talk about nature, you don't think about the Netherlands.
No.
But of course, fishing is outstanding there still. But I think the people start to look around and start to go new ways. And of course, I also experienced that in the last 2 years in the fishing shop, that a lot of people are buying traveling rods, are going for more trips during the year, making more short trips, going for sea fishing, saltwater stuff, going bass fishing or something like this. So I think traveling for fishing will be definitely in the next years more and more a big thing. And the bass will definitely just be a big part of it. And I don't know how the population will go. So if there will be new countries with bass, not sure. The problem is that the bass is still on nearly every Northern European country. I think it's a fish that is on the blacklist, so it's not allowed to put in your waters. So it's not a fish from the lakes there. What is it called? It's not a native species. It's an invasive species.
Invasive, yeah.
Yeah, that was what I'm looking for exactly. And so that makes it definitely difficult. There will be always a way how the fish came in the lakes, but it will be not enough to, I think, I would hope, but I don't think it will be enough to really get a population out of that. So to be honest, the waters, in my opinion, in Europe are perfect up to the north. So if you compare it to the US, they have really, really good bass fishing in New York and more up north there, where it's getting in the winter, it gets fucking cold there. How many news you saw in the last years about snowstorms in New York and stuff? Well, why the bass should not survive? So the waters are perfect for it, and also if you would think about smallmouth, for example, in Sweden or in the Dutch river systems with the gobies and stuff, also smallmouth would be 100% having a perfect time here, and the population would grow fast.
I know Abu Garcia, they actually stocked bass. I don't know when it was, if maybe in the 60s or 70s, I think in 2 lakes in the south of Sweden, but they never really it never really happened. Unfortunately,
Okay.
it would have been cool, but I think they might have stocked largemouth. I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably. But that's all in Europe.
Yeah, but smallmouth should. I mean, they should work up here. That would be so cool.
100%.
And musky.
Yeah. And musky, yes.
We have some good legs for musky.
Yeah. I have a nice information for all the Swedish guys out there, for all the pike anglers. Here in Sardinia, we have a couple of lakes where we have the rare species of the Italian pikes.
Oh, they're so cool.
Yeah, they are so nice, and I know that it's special for a reason that in mainland Italy the population gets lower and lower for the reason that the northern pike starts to push too much, and so the real Italian strength is not surviving. But here on Sardinia there are no northern pikes, so they are just the Italian pikes, and we have fish above 110 here. Cool. And they are so beautiful. So that's probably also something to experience here on the island
I would love to
for the
catch
pike
those.
anglers. Yeah, it's crazy.
I
It's
know they
and
have
yeah,
a couple of them in Bolsena, so I was hoping to
yeah,
catch one there as a bycatch when we were bass fishing, but
yeah,
of course didn't do it. But that would be freaking awesome. They're so beautiful.
yeah, yeah. So that's the thing. Maybe there is in the future a bit more a mix between the typical species and some new ones. But I honestly think that's gonna be difficult that this really happens.
Yeah.
So, but I would love to. So I think what I heard often is that they say, yeah, the bass is destroying all the other species and pushing out the perch and the sander and blah, blah, blah. I don't think that that's true. So when you look down to Spain, for example, on the Ebro, you have a really good population of sanders, perch, and bass. And the bass is the species that is going down.
Ah,
So
okay.
I think not that the bass will really destroy the ecosystem. Also, when you see when you have pikes in the lake, they usually they usually yeah feed a lot on the bass, so the population of the bass is more going down than up. So I think that probably is the hardest point to immigrate the bass in waters with a high pike population. But to live side by side with perch, sanders, and pikes, in my opinion, will be not a big deal. But of course, it's just a view out of a bass lover and an angler. Maybe there are some other parameters there that they're not having on the screen, but in my opinion, there are examples in Europe where it works, and I don't know why it should not work in northern part of Europe. But yeah,
Maybe one day.
yeah,
But
maybe one
until then,
day.
until then, we'll have to take a short plane ride down to Sardinia or Spain and do some bass fishing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's as we talked before about it. It's a super nice short trip. That was also my beginning. How I came to Sardinia. I was looking for a trip for bass fishing that is easy, nice, and also from the point of money, not too expensive. And Sardinia is perfect when it comes to that. You have short ways. When you come by plane, you have just around 2.5 hours. When you come from Germany, sometimes even quicker, or also from Austria, Switzerland, there are flights just around 1 hour sometimes. So it's a really, really, really close flight. And also, if you come by the car with the ferry, a lot of people making just normal holidays here, as you also told before, and to go 1 or 2 days fishing is super nice here. So we have everything together here. So we have the opportunities to give you an accommodation. So we work together with the agriturismos, what is like a farm housing style with kitchen and nice bedrooms. So it's a super nice system. I like the agriturismo. It's really traditional Sardish, so you can also really eat traditional Sardish
Oh,
style, and
nice.
yeah, that's really nice. So we make from organizing airport shuttles up to having the accommodation, making the guiding service for you, making rental boat service. So we have really nice rental boats with live scopes, trolling engines, high quality sonar. So I think the whole setup here is, when you compare it to what you have to spend on and how much time you have to invest, it's maybe one of the nicest places and nicest trips you can do. So it's all close by. That's a big, big part. It's an island, so it's still a big island, but it's an island, so it's close by. You don't need to drive 3-4 hours from the airport or something like this. It's all around 1.5-2 hours maximum. Most of the distances are around 30 minutes to 1 hour when you want to cross the island or something. So that means it is all close by. It is all nice, easy. The people are nice. The fishing is really good. So that was for me the main thing why I continue coming here. And yeah, of course, now something that I really love to be able to bring on to my guests and to bring on to be able to give all the viewers maybe the chance to experience it once here.
Yeah. Cool. And if someone wants to come in contact with you to book a trip or just to ask you a question or something, how would you recommend them doing that?
Of course, now in the times, the easiest way is probably Instagram. So just hit my Instagram, send me a message, even if you have questions about it, of course. But also you can go on the Sardinia Bass World website. You can book there straight on the website. But you can also book on my Instagram. You can contact Sardinia Bass World on Instagram. So you can also contact Marco. He can answer you in English, or then I can do it if it needs to be in German or also in English. So that's, I would say, the most common thing is Instagram and the website.
Yeah, cool. And for everyone listening, of course, I will tag you in the episode picture on the Time is Fish Instagram, both international and Scandinavian. So if they're having a hard time finding you, just find your tag there, and you can get in contact and book a trip.
Perfect. Yeah, that's a good chance. And also, as I said, the pike fishing, we guiding on that lakes as well. So that's not just the information that is possible. It's a trip that you can book there. I just know it for the reason that a lot of the Dutch guys that contact me, they are always really hyped on the chance to catch one of the pikes. And I know that for a hardcore pike fisherman, probably that's a kind of pike that you want to hook up on your list.
I am definitely one of those guys. How big is the chance of, I mean, is it like fish a whole day, maybe catch one, or is it more like normal pike fishing? Like you can catch a couple?
It is like, the cool thing on that lakes where you have the pikes in is that you have most of the time other species as well. So you have bass, you have perch, you have trouts, and you have the pikes. So you have always a nice way or a nice day to fish, that's for sure. The pike fishing himself is a mix. Normally you don't catch high numbers, but you normally don't cast just for one fish. Of course, when it comes to a big fish, we all know that, then it can be a one fish deal. But there are also fish in medium size, like 70, 80 centimeters. And if you want to catch one like this, there is usually a good chance to catch also a few during the day.
Cool.
So there are not just one or two fish. There is usually a chance to catch also more. And of course, if you are lucky to catch a giant one, that's more a bonus. There are big fish. So I also know about fish above 120. But 110 is what I already experienced. And that's what I can say that is possible. And of course, I think every fisherman know how it is. A fish like this is a special fish, but the fishing up there in the lakes in the mountain where you can catch these pikes is always nice and funny, and it's always beautiful. It's clear lakes, and there are mountain lakes, so it's nice there.
What is the name of those pike? What do you call them?
We just call it Italian pike, but I think
there is a specific name for them, I think.
Yeah, there is. I don't really remember it, but I think there is one.
Yeah, but if anyone is curious, just Google Italian pike and you'll see these, and they're so beautiful and different from normal pike. So I would love to see one of those in person, but maybe one day, dude.
You are invited always. Just give me a message. We will do it.
We will try to figure something out. As I said, Albin Shargi is super keen on coming down also, so it will be super fun to just grab a quick flight and do a couple of days fishing and eat some Sardinian food.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the food is also, I think that's also one big part that you have to always keep in your mind. Italy is not just from the fishing, it's from all the surrounding perfect. You have so much nice food, you have so much life around every city. The people are out late in the evening. You can go for a drink. You can to experience the Italian life is also a huge part why I moved up here. So it's not just the fishing. It's a mix between the way to live here and also the opportunities, of course, of the fish. But to experience that in a whole trip, Sardinia is close to perfect, I think.
Sounds good, man. And I'm super glad that you took your time and came on the podcast here and talked a little bit about European bass fishing and your experiences. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was an honor to be here, and really nice to see what happened with the bass fishing in Europe in the next years. But thanks for having the chance to taking place here and to speak a bit about the fish and about the fishing here.
This is, of course, there is a lot to talk about. So maybe I'll bring my podcast gear and when we can do an episode in person when I come down there.
We can. I would love to. There is still also some shit on the fence stories left.
Sounds good, man. Thank you very much, and have a fantastic year down there in Sardinia now.
Thank you, Dan.
Take care, man.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you so much for taking your time and listening to this episode. I really hope that you found it entertaining and maybe you could even learn a thing or two. If you liked it, please share it to your friends and tag timeisfish_international on Instagram. That would help me a lot to get this show out to more people. If you have suggestions for topics or new guests, feel free to contact me via the Instagram account, and if you or someone you know have a funny shit hits the fan story, please send it to timeisfishpodcast@gmail.com and mark it with shit hits the fan. And remember, it's the details that make it even more funny. If you like my work with this podcast and want more episodes and instant access to all the new ones, please head over to the awesome podcast player Podbean and become a patron of this podcast. That way you can support my work and get even more episodes. Thank you so much for listening. Have a fantastic day or night, and I'll see you on the water.